So the entire world is very excited and is keen to know what is up with the candidates documentary that you and Biswa were making. How is it going? Where has it reached?
Biswa and I are still making it, and the candidates documentary is now a documentary series. So what happened was, we had planned to, if you remember, we had planned to release the film as, right, the docu as a film just before candidates. Then 5 of our players, they reached candidates 2024 wala mein.
This is 2024, 2 years ago
2024,
almost.
2 years ago. So we thought, let candidates get over, uske baad we'll release the film. Only to see that Gukesh won. फिर वो अब Gukesh candidates जीत गया है, so how can we not cover the world championship? So by the time, and then Gukesh decided to become the youngest world champion.
So originally the idea was to just cover these young talents to show the world that how good they are.
Yeah. And
that
something great is in the works. Maybe in the next 3-4 years, 5 years, they'll become, one of them will reach the candidates by the time they are 20, 21. Because we started following them when they were 16, 17.
Yeah,
Yes,
in
I don't know.
22.
22
so Gukesh
Olympiad.
was 16, Pragg
Yeah.
was 17 and so on. But then all these things happened. 2024 proved to be a golden year for India.
Yeah.
Because we won the Olympiad, Gukesh won candidates and world championship. So now you had like very nice material. So then what happened in 2025? Because it was also a golden period to put out this.
Yeah, we had nice material, 500 hours of footage. That doesn't include footage from ChessBase India. Which means we had it was a simple story about these 4 characters, and the simplest stories are the most complicated to tell.
Why?
Especially when you have so much material, but it is overwhelming. That what do you say? How do you say it? So we tried to cut a film, a 2-hour film, but it didn't do justice to anything. The entire story, neither. There are sequence of events, and all these players have their own stories. They are characters in themselves. Each one has their own journey. So when we cut a 2-hour film, we realized that it's not a film. So the story really, उससे मतलब मज़ा नहीं आएगा. There's much more to tell. So then we decided to tell it in an episodic format.
And each episode is like 40 minutes to 50 minutes.
Yes, that's what we had in mind. So it took us quite some time to then break then we went back, we stopped edit, we went back on paper, we created a paper edit of sorts of how the story flows, the chronology of things, and then it became clear that it is about candidates. So the candidates who basically, the players who at least took the path to candidates, some of them were successful, most of them weren't. But our primary characters, we found out through primary characters for the series, we found out through this exercise. So now where we are is, we are in an exciting phase. As you've seen the episodes, the cuts of 3 episodes.
I have seen, yes.
So
it's actually becoming into a finished product now.
Yes, it is on track to becoming a good finished product. We have edited episode 1, 2 and 4. To give your audience an idea of what the story would be, episode 1 is called the B Team Olympiad.
That is the 2022 Olympiad, where the youngsters Gukesh, Pragg, Nihal, Raunak and Adiban, they
announced themselves to the world. So basically our youngsters announced themselves to the world. So that is episode 1. Episode 2 is about Pragg reaching candidates.
The World Cup 23.
World Cup 23 and Pragg and Vaishali's story. Episode 3, my most favorite story amongst, I think so, which is Vaishali and Vidit's journey to candidates.
Winning Grand Swiss.
4th episode, so the 3rd episode is called 2.0. The 2nd episode is called Openings. The fourth episode is called Buckets of Pain.
Oh.
Because it is about a tournament that was set at the last moment amidst, the Chennai rains, the torrential rains that happened in
the Chennai Grandmasters.
the Chennai Grandmasters. So the pain that went into creating that tournament, but the gratification of one of these guys actually going on to win that tournament and then reach candidates, and at the same time Arjun almost losing it by the skin of his teeth and thus losing an opportunity to reach the candidate. So while there is while you understand victory and the achievement that of reaching candidates that Gukesh did, but at the same time what goes on through a player's mind when you reach at the very top but miss the opportunities by a whisker. And that's what sport is, right? So we understand the pain of playing this sport through Arjun. So episode 4 is about that.
Wow.
And then we have episode 5, which we call the bungee jump.
The bungee jump, the famous bungee jump of Gukesh.
So yeah, it is about Gukesh winning candidates and the world championship.
Wow. Wow.
So yeah, so it's been a tough edit, and that has taken a lot of time, but now we are 80% through.
Wow.
It seems that we are 80% through, and
there are so many, like, it's not just about the young talents, right? You have included so many different characters. I saw, like, for example, there's Vishnu, and there's Srinath, and there is Adiban, and there is like all kind of, there's Samay, there is Biswa, there is interviews with Niklesh, myself, Amruta, like almost there are like 20, 30, 40 people whom you have interviewed inside it to tell the stories.
because even these players are a medium to tell the story of what is happening with Indian chess in particular and chess as a sport in general. So which means all these people become our storytellers in some way or the other. So while it is a story of these youngsters trying to find their feet or excelling at the topmost level, but it is primarily about understanding the sport and what is happening with the sport or what has happened with the sport in the past 3-4 years and where it is heading to. So imagine we have Pragg playing in this year's candidates again. And Gukesh is the world champion. So
if Pragg wins it, for example, the candidates, that would be the perfect period to release this between the candidates and the world championship match.
Yeah, so again, we've seen so much magic happen that it's not a far-fetched thought. Yeah.
And also Vaishali, Divya and Hampi are playing in the women's, so that can also be an interesting.
And here's another announcement. So while we have made this film about these prodigies, which is Pragg, Vidit, Arjun, Nihal, and Gukesh, and Vaishali plays a part in the docu-series as well. But it is primarily about these male players. So we have another series in the works. This works, and Hampi, Divya, Vaishali again, and then there's Vantika, there's Charvi. So that's another world that we want to now, that's a story that we want to tell, which is women's chess.
It's nice to see that you are still inspired to cover chess, to do things around chess, because I thought this entire making this docu-series would be very draining.
The chess as a sport is very draining, but why are people addicted to it? So I think I have fallen into the trap. So once you taste blood, you taste blood. So the sport is, so it's at an inflection point, right? And it is going to just grow. It is, and how can you not be a part of such a growth story when you've been given an opportunity to do so? So
Amazing. And lastly, I want to ask you, people are wondering where will this come out? Where would you? Because I think it's also a very important decision to take. कि कहाँ पे देखने को, like where should it be? Will it be on Netflix? Will it be on YouTube? Will it be on Prime? What is on your mind?
एक बार once we edit these 5 episodes and when we are satisfied with the fact that we've created something which is worthy of the best platforms in the world, then I think we will be able to make that. We want to make that choice, but for that we'll have to create a great product. So why worry about where to release now when we don't have a full product in hand? We have something which is purely mathematically 60% ready. So once we are done with another 30%, 30% of it, and so what will happen is we will have the cuts ready, and then all the fine tuning in terms of graphics, in terms of sound, the color grading, and when that happens, parallelly we'll start working on the process of release.
Wow. And there's always been, through this entire period, there has been a team who's working on this product.
Oh yes. So
and how big is that team?
So in total, maybe 20 odd people across years would have worked on this project, but the core permanent team for the past 4 years has been 5 people. Biswa, me, but the heavy lifter, as you see, literally is Abhineet. So Abhineet has done most of the heavy lifting. We have a very solid, what we also grappled with edit issues, because it's, as I said, it's overwhelming. So we had to kind of evaluate multiple editors. So जिसमें कुछ बनता था, but थक जाते थे, वो लोग भी थक जाते थे, हम लोग भी थक जाते थे. Nobody, there are very few people who've edited this kind of volume of footage and told a story out of that. So it was overwhelming for a couple of editors that we first worked with. Uske baad we decided to, and that is an interesting story. So there's this friend of ours who's edited, a very senior editor, very well respected editor in the industry, and has worked with my sister. She's edited my sister's short films, she's edited shows like Arya and multiple films. So I used to pick her brains about the editing process and working with editors in general. And that was a problem that we were grappling with, and she explained to me, or she coached me about how to look at things from an editor's point of view and what an editor is going through on this project. So how to be empathetic with the person and stuff like that. And then one fine day she sends me a text कि किसी को अगर तुम किसी chess coach को जानते हो, because my kid and his friend, they want to play chess, और अगर connect करा सकते हो तो करा देना. And I texted you. और फिर आप लोगों की बात हुई और आपने कनेक्ट करा दिया उस कोच से. फिर उसके बाद एडिट इश्यूज़ आ रहे थे. फिर एक दिन उनसे बात की, बोला कि आप चेस ये करा रहे हो, आपको इंटरेस्ट है चेस में? वो बोली कि मेरे बेटे की वजह से तो मुझे हो ही गया है इंटरेस्ट. तो आई टोल्ड, बोली एडिट कैसा जा रहा है? तो आई आस्क्ड हर कि आप आ जाओ, एडिट अच्छा हो जाएगा. सो तो फाइनली शी केम ऑन बोर्ड. And now we have a really good solid edit team. So abhi we have a 6-7 member edit team. So parallelly chal raha hai kaam.
Wow.
So now it has got speed.
Amazing. Well, Prashant, thank you for this update. I think the chess community has always been very excited for this ever since this began, since we did the last interview, and I'm glad that it is very close to completion now.
Yeah, I promise that you'll see something. If amazing is what the viewers will decide, but honest, authentic, emotional, ye itna big I can promise that you'll see something really different as far as sports documentaries go.
Amazing. Thank you.